Good evening, morning, afternoon. I don't really know what time it is. Welcome to yet another Star Trek podcast. I am your host for the day, Brad, but as usual, following me, my two lovely cohorts, Majeed and Drew. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing today?
It's nighttime, Brad. You want us to record at night because you're nocturnal.
It's because I have a 10-month-old baby who needs to be put to bed
Oh
before
my
I can actually do
God.
things.
How long are we going to have you play that same song? Baby this, baby that.
So you know what? I should actually ask you then, Majeed. You have a child who is coming of a older age than mine. I think a few years above mine. When does that kind of level off?
I don't know. Depends. It depends. Are you going to be one of those fathers that don't talk about their kids because they left them to go get a pack of cigarettes? I mean, I didn't.
I'm pretty sure no. I'm not going to be that type of father. I'm gonna stick around until the very end.
So right after potty training, I think is when you can stop using your baby as a crutch.
Okay.
Because then they become kind of self-reliant. Teach them how to, make toast and eggs, and you'll be fine.
You know, I feel like that could go horribly wrong with setting the house on fire. But you know what?
We have
Drew,
insurance.
You have two children of your own. They are of the furry kind.
Yes.
Metro!
How are they doing? Are they keeping you away from your normal tasks?
Metro is very clingy.
I love Metro.
Yeah, but it's a little much sometimes, man. Like, I love him. He loves us. He loves, like, with all of his heart. But he also, like, won't leave us alone. Maybe ever. I'm in the kitchen. He's rubbing on my legs. If I'm sitting on the sofa, he's laying in between my legs.
Lucky get.
Jesus. So it's just like, it's a lot. And then, like, I'm trying to sleep at night and he's literally just in the crook of my legs while I'm sleeping. And I have to do gymnastics if I want to get out of the bed. It's just a lot. But he is a sweetheart.
He knows he knows where there's a warm spot he can take advantage of.
Dax is also affectionate, but not to the same degree. He'll leave us alone and then come back on his own terms.
Are you able to kick them out at night at least?
If by kick them out you mean remove them from the bed so they can just jump back in, then yes.
Well, no, remove them from the bedroom and like close the door.
So they meow at the door for starters, and then all I hear is meowing. At least when he's laying in the bed with us, I can fall asleep. And secondly, we don't have air conditioning like in the whole house. So we have one very large air conditioner in the living room. And then we have strategically placed box fans that will push the cold air all the way down the opposite side of the house into the bedroom. We tried to get air conditioning installed last year, and that fell through because the company that we had hired stopped returning our phone calls.
Did they just take your money and run?
There was no money exchanged. It was an estimate, and there was supposed to be some sort of a loan that was involved in it, and then they gave up on us after months and months and months of communication.
I'll take care of it, buddy. I got you.
No.
All right, whatever. Your loss. Remember, a friend that can bench 225. That means that,
Who?
You know what? It's fine. I'm injured. I can't.
You can't bench 225?
I can normally, but
I mean, can you do it right now?
I don't have 225 pounds to bench.
Well, this sounds like a personal issue to me. All hear is excuses.
Your personal issue. Remember that time that I used to rub on your leg on the train and you kept smacking my hand away?
Yeah.
That was nice.
It was sexual assault.
It wasn't sexual assault.
They were unwanted advances.
You kept hitting me. How was it assault if I was getting hit?
Because
you're victim blaming.
You were touching my leg.
Right. And you were hitting me.
No means no.
You didn't say no.
I did.
You know what? I have the footage. I have the footage. Let's just upload it. It's fine. We'll let the internet decide.
Brad
is so done. Brad is so done.
Brad.
I honestly don't know what to say.
Brad.
Yeah.
I'm editing this week.
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
Thank God. You can talk crap about Brad again. Brad, you suck.
Thank you, Majeed. I truly appreciate your warmth and lovely feelings. I do want to admit that you were a pleasure to edit out when I needed to during the last episode. It was a thrill to have that power.
Yeah,
I'll thrill you, buddy.
I usually just silence entire sections of this track. And he clearly never listens to the episode, so we'll never know.
I can't. It's very hard. Listen, it's very hard to listen to yourself. Like, I have to imagine that like people who are on court, and testifying, and they have like audio evidence. Like, how do they do it? How do they listen to themselves?
I can understand that.
I couldn't do it. And they have to do this like for a living, right? Like professional rats. Not like rats like Splinter, but like rats like people who rat on others. Like stool pigeons. That's a profession.
I'm like not really sure how we got from A to B, but you know what? Makes perfect sense.
Don't worry, I'll fix it in post.
Clearly.
Brad, you're doing a great job wrangling us this week.
I mean, last time I was an editor. This time, I don't know. I'm the. I have no idea. No analogy apparently.
Who's
what's the person that is on the playground with the kids and tells all the kids to behave?
The teacher.
Is it? Yeah. Okay, cool. So Brad's the teacher. He's a substitute though, because we're walking all over.
I'm the substitute teacher. Thank you. I appreciate that, Majeed.
I love you too.
So how's everything been going, guys? What's new?
I don't really have anything to report. I worked 10 days last week, and I spent the entirety of my first day off yesterday, like meal prepping and doing stuff around the house before trying to get some sort of relaxation in. And then today, I played video games most of the day, which was nice, but then I also feel like guilty for doing that. I feel like I should have been more productive.
You should have.
I can completely understand that. I actually deleted a few games from my phone and iPad the other day just for that reason, because I was thinking about how much time I sunk into those games, and I'm like, yeah, probably a bit of a waste.
I did finish Star Trek Resurgence today.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
You don't seem very excited. Okay, all right, there it goes.
It's not just a black and white answer. Like, the game was fun. I think the story was excellent, and I think they delivered 100% on the promise of giving us a Star Trek adventure. But the game was glitchy, and just some of the gameplay elements were, quite frankly, a joke. Anytime you're getting into like a phaser fire, or, firefight or something like that, it's a nightmare. The aiming mechanics are terrible. You have to hide behind cover, and then, popping out of cover to shoot. Like, it's very difficult to aim. Sometimes it slows down your turning for no reason whatsoever, just to make it more challenging, I guess. I don't know. Some very questionable decisions with the gameplay there. And it was very glitchy. Constant graphical pop-ins, characters appearing and disappearing from scenes just randomly. Things that'll just really take you out of the element if you don't just try to forget about it. But that said, I do enjoy the game. I think it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I bought it. I'm glad I played it. So I think if you're a Star Trek fan, I do think it's worth your time. There's some nice Easter eggs and surprises in there. And it's a fun game overall, but it is by no means a flawless experience.
What did you play it on?
I played it on my Xbox Series X.
Sponsored by. This segment brought to you by Xbox Series X.
I wish they would sponsor us.
Oh, God, seriously.
To have glitches on that says a lot. That should more than be capable of handling that game.
And the graphics are not that complicated either. Like, I heard somebody say, like, it looks like it should have been on a PlayStation 2. And while that might be a bit of a leap, it's not that far off. So
maybe a PS3 then. So.
Yeah.
I thought of you in that game, Drew. Did you at least like the story elements, like the choose your own adventure stuff?
Yeah, no, everything seemed to have like weight when you're making some of these choices. There were definitely moments where a decision that I made utterly pissed off one character and turned them against me. And if I had gone a different path, that might not have played out that way. You know, definitely the kind of thing where like you have to think about the choices you're making. But then it's just really my biggest takeaway is just a lot of the other gameplay elements outside of the story choices felt really baked on and almost took away from the experience on more than one occasion. Fortunately, they do include a quote unquote story mode where it reduces the difficulty of those things by quite a bit. And I think it's actually impossible to fail. So it literally just leaves you with making the choices, you know, throughout the game.
You should check out a game called The Expanse by Telltale. It's like a choose your own adventure type thing. It's similar to what they tried to pull off in Star Trek Resurgence. It's apparently like a pretty popular series, like property.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it before.
No.
Yeah, check it out. You may like it.
If people are recommending it to you, maybe you should, you know, give that a shot. But it's funny that you mentioned that game because I also bought that yesterday as well. I just haven't played it yet.
I can't wait to hear what you think about it.
So, gentlemen, we have two new episodes this week to watch, or that we did watch, I should say. Those Old Scientists and Under the Cloak of War. Shall we get into them?
Do it.
Riker.
We start with Those Old Scientists, and we start a little differently. I think this week it's not the Enterprise, and it looks a little different. It is animated. We start with the crew of the Cerritos. Now, just to give any listeners who may not be familiar, the crew of Cerritos is from the Lower Decks Star Trek TV series, which we highly, highly recommend. It is a phenomenal series. But we are doing a crossover where part of the episode is animated and part of it's live action. So we start with Brad Boimler, Beckett Mariner, Devana Tendi, and Sam Rutherford. Those are the main protagonists in the Lower Deck series, and they're going on an away mission to the planet Krulmuth B. I pronounced that correctly, I hope, gentlemen.
Sure.
It's close enough. We can fix it in post.
No, we can't. But that's what I would have called it. Krulmuth.
Yeah. So Krulmuth B. So they are going to beam on down to this planet to observe a portal that was discovered by Pike. Tendi says the Orions discovered the portal and it was not Pike. And so there is a little bit of disc. But Boimler, being the quirky animated character he is, wants to take a picture of the portal, and things don't go well. They take the picture, and he gets sucked into time, and goes to the time period of the Enterprise, where Strange New Worlds is. Clarification on that. And there's Spock, number one, and Lieutenant Singh are all just kind of standing there, and they're like, "Hey, who the heck is this guy?"
Yeah, he comments on them being, quote, very realistic.
I love that.
Passing out, and this is just one of many like fourth wall breaking jokes that we start to encounter.
I think it was really fourth wall breaking, just like hints and like little nudges and nods.
Well,
fourth wall is him talking
to
the audience.
Fair.
I think it's fourth wall breaking, because doesn't that classify towards making fun of yourself, of what the situation is?
Well, it's a kind of
fourth. Deadpool does fourth wall breaking. He's talking directly to the audience.
Okay.
Well,
Sorry.
we're splitting hairs, but I think I get what you're saying.
Because it's your point though, is it's like he's the entire Cerritos is animated, whereas everybody's realistic in the live action TV show.
He's commenting on something that only the viewer would perceive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he doesn't know he's animated.
Yeah, pretty much. And so then therefore he's talking to the viewer. So fourth wall breaking.
Hey, you know what? It's fine. We'll just edit that part out.
I love how you guys are arguing over it, and I'm the one that said it, and I already conceded.
So Boimler wakes up on the Enterprise. Pike, number one, and Banga are all there, and he's freaking out. In the sense that, let's face it, he's fanboying. He's just being a huge fanboy and is completely overwhelmed with the his heroes of people who he always talks about. And he quickly, lets them know that he's from the future. And so as this is a thing in Starfleet, is a protocol as to he should have little to no contact with anybody. What does he do? He roams around the ship. Talks to Lieutenant Tseng and trying to get an understanding of how everything's going. And it's kind of going a little awkwardly for him. He's not very socially adept.
True to life, true to his character.
Oh yeah,
very
absolutely. Very. Yeah.
He's portrayed by what, Jack Quaid?
Jack Quaid.
His name?
Yeah. Jack Quaid is on fire this year, man.
Yeah.
He's
on
phenomenal.
fire.
Anyways, he makes his way to the conference room, and happens across a saddle, from Pike's, and he decides to make a hop onto it.
Riker.
And he says Riker out of an exclamation, which was apparently not scripted and was totally ad-libbed.
Yeah, Drew had to point that out to me. I didn't catch it. It was quick.
It was
a
very
lot of
subtle.
things happened so quickly in this episode.
Yeah, they definitely adapted the Lower Decks style of script writing and acting for this particular episode, and that was something that you could have easily missed if you weren't looking for it. I heard it, but I didn't make the connection when I was watching the episode, and then I watched the Ready Room, hosted by Will Wheaton. And they talked about it in that they had Jack Quaid, Tawny Newsome, and Jonathan Frakes, who directed this episode, on there. And that was a delightful interview.
Did he do that because Frakes was directing?
That's part of it, yeah.
Yeah, he said he saw Frakes and he just had to do it.
And he breaks it down. He talks about how it's not the Riker or doing the Riker. It's just Riker.
Riker.
So...
Right.
It was an ad-libbed moment that they end up keeping, and I think there were a couple others that they talked about too. If you haven't had a chance to watch that interview, it's about a half-hour episode, but the interview itself is probably about 20 minutes or so. Worth your time, worth checking out.
Well, I'll definitely give that a shot. But now they're trying to figure out a way to get Boimler back to his current time. So Spock, M'Benga, and him fly down to beam down to the portal, and they're trying to identify how to make it work. It seems like it's out of gas, not really, going anywhere. And they go back to the Enterprise, and there's a Orion ship that is present. It kind of beams up, or it kind of warps on in. And apparently their Orions are known for being space pirates. Mm-hmm. And the assumption is that those Orions are there to steal, pillage, or whatever pirates do. But Boimler being Boimler is the guy kind of going with his friend Tendi, what she said, that they are actually scientists and that they are okay. And so Pike makes the decision to trust Boimler's information, and sure enough, they beam aboard the portal and they hightail it. Now that the Ryans are gone, Boimler feels like crap. Pike is not happy with following Boimler's decision. So they have to kind of figure out a way to get the ape back. Of course, Boimler being the individual that he is, and he can't keep a secret in any sense of the way. He somehow lets Chapel and Ortega's know when Pike's birthday is, which is apparently this Friday, and is going to have like a surprise party for him. Who knows? I don't know. But in the interim of them trying to track down the Orions, Boimler tells them to turn around while he modifies the systems.
I love that.
And everybody's like, sure, why not? Because we've already messed up this much. And they literally just turn around and he's like, one more moment, I'm almost done.
Yeah, close your eyes, stick your fingers in your ears.
Right, and then he gets stuck in there. He gets,
well, they find the Orions pretty quickly, and they get to them, and they negotiate a deal, which is they trade a bunch of wheat that they had carrying on to like another colony location, and they get the portal back. And of course, they discover a way to activate the portal one more time, and Boimler, being Boimler, kind of overextends his farewell speech, and so Mariner jumps through and
she
the
saves
portal
him.
closes behind them.
She rescues him. What are you talking about? This is a
loved it.
rescue mission.
I love that. I love live action Boimler. I also love live action Mariner. Both of them so adorable.
I'm very disappointed in the fact that they didn't include Rutherford or Tendi.
I don't think Rutherford looks anything like Rutherford.
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
He
Yeah.
doesn't. But come on, man! Like, wouldn't it be great to just still have him somehow?
By the way, live action Orions. Oh my God, they look so good.
Yeah.
They did it really well.
In response to Brad's disappointment, I think it was fine the way they did it, because I think the two characters are, Boimler and Mariner are the number one characters on Lower Decks.
They are.
And I think if you had Tendi and Rutherford in the mix as well too, well, it would have been cool. I think it would have watered the story down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, Rutherford's his attachment, his eyepiece would have recorded everything, but messed up the future or the past.
Yeah.
Wait, what? No, it wouldn't, because he would have recorded everything, and then he would have went to the future, and therefore it would have been out of the past.
What?
I don't know. Brad's a time traveler.
Back on board the Enterprise, Mariner and Boimler are kind of bickering back and forth over the whole situation, and Mariner kind of wants to see her idol, Uhura. Which, for me, was a little bit of a surprise. I didn't really realize Uhura was Mariner's idol. Did she mention it previously in like one of the other Lower Decks episodes?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know that she did or didn't, but maybe.
But the way that Mariner describes Uhura is very different from what we're seeing on Strange New Worlds. Somebody who's very relaxed, knows when to put her foot forward to do the work, but also knows when to just chill and not do anything. And that's not Uhura in any sense of the way.
Yeah, so, knows when to hold them, knows when to fold them, and just knows when to walk away.
At that point, though, Pike kind of just gives up on reeling in the two time travelers and just is like, yeah, you know what? You can have rule of the ship. Just go wherever you want. Just stay out of trouble.
Yeah, he's literally just throwing in the towel and just giving up.
And the other thing too, which I didn't mention, is that anytime number one gets close to Boimler, he kind of just freaks out and just runs away.
Yeah, he's acting like he's got the hots for her or something, or knows something about her that he's not allowed to say.
Yeah. But it's in terms like he idolizes her.
Yeah.
Like, because she's the
So-
poster child.
It was so wholesome.
It was like the poster child for the Federation. And that's why like it's like meeting your hero kind of thing.
Yeah, he'll straight up touch Pike, but he'll run away from number one. So great.
Pretty much. But yeah, Mariner finds her way to Uhura and kind of, tries to help her decipher the language. But eventually is like, hey, you know what? This ain't going anywhere. Let's go get a drink. And, as the reluctant individual, Uhura follows her and they go to the bar and Mariner makes them a drink. Well, sorry. Also Ortega's as well. Ortega's joins us. And of course, Uhura is trying to figure out the dialect on the machine while she's having the drink, but that doesn't go so well. Eventually, Ortega's calls her out, and Ortega's actually figures out what language is on the machine, which apparently doesn't mean anything other than, was it time portal?
Yeah.
So it literally is all it is just the language there is just says, hey, this is what it's called. It's like, going to like aliens come to our planet and they find something that says Dodge. Oh, it's a Dodge truck. Okay.
Band-Aid.
I'm
Adhesive
sorry.
bandage.
Anyways, so Boimler and Spock are trying to make more fuel for the actual time portal, and they try not to blow up the Enterprise in the process, which Spock has been exhibiting strange humanistic characteristics.
Yeah, you had that problem once.
I know. Thankfully, it's curable, and it's called having a child, and then you're just dead all
Here
inside.
we go again.
Oh
My God.
twice in one episode, man. Golly.
Listen, you made that decision. You can't undo it.
Well, no, let's not get into that, Drew. How dare you?
Anyways, things
How
are getting
dare I?
grim.
I'm not the one that brings up my baby every 10 minutes.
It's not. It's been at least 20.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Brad.
I liked you guys better when I was going to be the editing of the episode.
I liked you guys better when I didn't have a baby. I liked you guys better when I lived in Connecticut. I'm sorry.
Can we talk about how great this scene with Spock and Boimler was? This might have been my favorite scene in the entire episode. The two of them wearing these ridiculous goggles and running for cover and getting a live action Boimler scream.
Oh, I loved it. I love the live action Boimler scream. My daughter didn't understand it. She didn't get it. Like, she's like, okay, what's the big deal? I said, buddy, that's Boimler. That's a live action Boimler scream. That's a Drew's alarm clock ringtone.
Oh God.
And by the way, after the experiment blew up,
Yeah.
both of them looking out from other sides of the wall,
Yeah.
just
at each
great.
other. Yeah.
Yeah, it screamed 80s buddy movie.
There was a meme
Yeah,
that I saw, and I saw it before I got to see the episode, so I didn't understand the context, but it was that scene with a Weird Science logo underneath it.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
It is. It definitely screamed Weird Science.
All right, so with things looking grim and both Mariner and Boimler probably being stuck in the past, the two concoct a plan to contact the Orions because they feel guilty for trading away the wheat for the portal since they're just never going to go home. So they say like, hey, why don't we just undo what we did and then get those wheat for people and we can just live out our lives back here. However, Singh ends up catching them because Uhura is smart and knows how to monitor things and takes him to Pike. They have a very blunt conversation with Pike regarding things that are going on. And they find out that Pike knows that he's going to have a demise at some point in his near future.
Also a great scene. Because watching Mariner do like the whole wheelchair sign with the oh my god.
Oh, Mariner. God, I talked a lot about how good Boimler was, how Jack Quaid was, but man, Mariner, she's so quick. Everything's just so quick.
Yeah.
And actually what it was, the funniest things about this episode were not what Mariner and Boimler were saying. It was everybody reacting to what they were saying. So a good example of that is when Boimler is talking to M'Benga. He's like, "Oh my God, is it the transporter? And what version is this? And it's it's less prone to blowing up." And M'Benga's like, "It explodes." Just like real quiet. It's just such a great like reaction. It's just kudos all around.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I agree. It's like how the others react to them was the best part of it.
Yeah. Like they're constantly making very specific references.
Right. And they talk real slow in the past. Compared to how they talk in the future.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So however, in the whole course of the conversation with Pike, they come to the realization they have a solution to their problem. The specific material that they're looking for to help fuel the time portal is actually a part of the old original Enterprise, the original Enterprise where Captain Archer was there, and through a long and drawn out explanation as to how they know this information, they go down to engineering, they pull this piece out, and they're like, "Hey, it's right here." And everybody's like, "We've been walking over this the entire time. How did we not know this was here?" Anyways, they go through a full process of going down to the planet again and going to say goodbye. They let number one know why Boimler's freaking out about her, and Spock does his live long and prosper thing. Was that his first time doing that in this season or series?
I'm gonna say no, but I don't have proof of that.
I don't recall it ever occurring before, but this is maybe because this episode's so memorable, it kind of popped.
Yeah.
But Boimler, Pike, Mariner, and Singh all beam down to the planet, and there's Orion's there. He's like, "Hey, we got your message. What's up?" And well, Mariner and Boimler save the day by going through the whole spiel of saying, "Hey, we know you're really scientists. You have, was it Tendy's great grandmother on your ship? Her name is this." And Pike was like, "All right, here's the deal. We'll say that you discovered this place and it wasn't us."
Yeah.
And they made him happy because they're actually scientists.
They're not actually
They're
scientists.
not actually scientists.
they're pirates, man. They're totally pirates.
Yeah, if you got that they were actually scientists out of this,
you gotta watch. You
may want to rewatch that again.
Right, and Boimler just didn't want to upset Tendy at the end. He's just like, "Yeah, no, totally. Orion scientist, hint, hint, wink, wink."
Yep.
Anyways, they make their way back to the Cerritos in the future, and everything is okay. And then there's an after credit scene, I think, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
it
it
was.
after credits?
Well, I don't think it was after credits. It was.
Oh yeah, it was like right before the
Stinger.
end. So the crew of the Enterprise gets animated as well.
Yeah, they're drinking some Orion drinks or something, I think.
It's like Orion brandy or something.
Yeah, and they're using that as the excuse as to why they all feel so funny.
Yeah, the fact that they were able to capture Pike's hair in animated form is just big shout out to the animated crew.
Did I recall correctly where when Boimler met Pike for the first time, he's like going through everything. He's like, "Oh, and the hair too."
Yeah. He's going through all the qualities. Like, yeah, you're a diplomat, a great leader, you're knowledgeable and great hair. And Pike is like, I'm so done. I just need a drink.
So, gentlemen, what do you guys think?
Oh, I love the episode, man. Oh, it's such a great episode. Just Jack Quaid, he's firing all cylinders. And I don't know, Drew, about you, but if this episode were playing on the TV randomly, I'm gonna watch it every single time.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up my phone the entire episode. Like, my phone was down.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Gentlemen, I'm gonna let you know that I'm gonna bring up the baby again, but it's only because I was laughing so loud I woke my baby.
This baby. Come on.
3 times.
3 times.
I think this is a record for the amount of times that Brad has mentioned this baby.
Baby wakes me up. I wake up the baby. I'm laughing too hard. The baby wants to go to warp speed. What's next?
The baby doesn't want to let me sleep. I'm nocturnal because of the baby.
But I think this is probably one of the funniest episodes I've seen for Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, I mean, that's pushing it though, right? Because Strange New Worlds is not really there to be comedy. It's there to be nostalgic in a way, right?
This is the only episode that's been pure comedy, I would say, up to this point. And they went in with that attitude directing it. They talked about it in the Ready Room.
I really need to watch that.
I do, like, normally I don't watch those because I don't know. I just feel like it's just extra content that's not really meant for me, right? I don't know. But with this one, I felt like I kind of needed to kind of hear from the 3 of them. Once I saw the clip of the Riker maneuver first on either TikTok or Reels or something. I was like, you know what? I need to hear the whole story. So I went back and I watched the episode, and it fills in a lot of the production gaps that we don't really get as viewers. But I gotta say, like, you know, since day one, I think there's been some valid comparisons to Mariner kind of looking like Tawny Newsome and Boimler kind of looking like Jack Quaid. But I never in my wildest dreams thought that either one of them would pull off the role live action so well. And they just knocked it out of the park. Like, they are those characters. Whether it's animated or not, they are those characters.
Did you see when number 1 came up to talk to Mariner and Boimler?
Yeah, and Boimler starts doing the Section 31 walk.
I loved it. It's such a
There's so
Jack
many.
Quaid.
There's so many Easter eggs that, like, I mean, like, Lower Decks is such a fast-paced show with all these, like, Easter eggs too, and you blink and you miss them, and I felt like that was happening in real life.
Yeah, just so good. Brad, listen, if you have only watched it once, you owe it to yourself. If you're a fan of Lower Decks, you owe it to yourself to watch this episode again.
You know, I'm probably going to do that, and I'm also probably going to rewatch all of Lower Decks just because I want to watch that show again.
Yeah, listen, it's good. It's so good.
I've been wanting to do a rewatch of it myself, and it's so easy because it's a half hour.
Yeah, it's a stair climber show. It's a cardio show at the gym, you know?
Right.
We have season 4 coming.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Hey, that poster of number 1 that's hanging in Boimler's locker, that had been there, right? Like, that's not the first time we've seen it. It's been in, like, seasons 1, 2, and 3.
Has it?
I think so.
I don't know about 1, 2, and 3.
I think I remember there being some kind of Easter egg on Reddit saying that, you know, attention to detail is key because it's been there. You know what? Let's maybe I post it on Twitter.
That wouldn't surprise me because even though Strange New Worlds is only in its 2nd season, like, Pike and number 1 were on Discovery. I think 2 or 3 years prior to that, and I think that was before Lower Decks, wasn't it?
Say that again. I was scouring for information on Memory Alpha. Say that again, Brad.
When did Lower Decks first first air?
It's been a couple years. So they've been doing one season a year, more or less.
So it's been 2019, 2020?
Yeah, that sounds about right. 2019.
Season 2 Discovery was 2019.
So Lower Decks season 1 must have been 2019 as well. Uh-oh. You guys hear Kylo in the background?
I thought it was your keyboard.
No.
My keyboard right there. No. Season 1 of Lower Decks was 2020. So
it was a COVID show.
Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, so that would indicate that they knew number 1, so that's probably why they were like, oh, we're just gonna do that, make it easier. Gentlemen, anything you did not like about this episode, or is it all roses?
I hated how short it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I can get behind that. Yeah, I mean, there really isn't anything to dislike about it. You know, it was firing on all cylinders from start. I would have liked more Mariner. Like if the two of them came through at the same time. But I think it played out in a sensible way. Like Mariner's always trying to keep an eye out on her buddy, and like, of course, she would try to save him, right?
Yeah.
As soon as it opens, she would immediately jump through.
Yeah.
Did you appreciate or even catch that we got like a POV side of Boimler entering the bridge?
Yeah. I did see that. Yeah.
I love that. His excitement would have been my excitement. I think he almost pushed the button that Kirk pushed to kill all those crewmen. I think he was close to hitting that button.
I'm not really sure that's what it was, buddy.
Well, listen, Kirk's a murderer. I would have to get into that now. But I would continue to watch this episode over and over again. This is so far my favorite Strange New Worlds episode.
You know, I could probably second that as well. I think it was phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't have any arguments with either of you guys on that one either. I really enjoyed it.
At least it's my favorite episode for this season at the very, very least.
Yeah, I really want Drew to argue with me on something. So hopefully with this next episode, I can get Drew to argue with me.
My favorite episode may change when I see Subspace Rhapsody or Rhapsody.
Yeah, you like musicals. I heard you're a big fan of Evita.
I love Little Shop of Horrors, Avenue Q.
I'm just gonna say this right now. I actually don't really care for musicals, so
boo.
Oh wow.
Can't win them all.
Hey. Demerit.
We'll agree to disagree.
Demerit.
Hey, gentlemen, the next episode we watched is Under the Cloak of War.
Before we get into this, can we just talk about how the writers of Strange New Worlds have the balls to have a complete farce of a comedy one week and then a soul-crushing episode the following?
That's also a meme. That's very much a meme. Yeah.
Oh, I could totally see that being a meme.
It was something like Range of Emotions, watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And it was like laughing one, crying the next, laughing one, crying the next.
I haven't seen that meme.
Yeah.
I got you.
No,
I'm surprised you haven't seen it. You know, it's been on Twitter. I know you're on X now. Brad's not on X.
I'm not calling it that.
I hate the logo.
I can kind of understand the alternating happy sad based on what I'm remembering for this season. But yes, I do agree. This next episode it takes a very drastic turn. The crew of the Enterprise head to the Prospero system, where an ambassador of Starfleet helped negotiate a ceasefire between multiple different warring factions. Upon beaming aboard, we find out this ambassador is a former general of the Klingon armory who defected to the Federation. Dakra, or as he prefers to call himself, just Ra. To his welcoming aboard the Enterprise, to say the least, is pretty icy cold, especially those who fought in the Klingon Federation War. Ortega's does a phenomenal job of making him feel welcome when she brings up that he is known for killing his own men when leaving the planet. He actually walks in on that conversation that was one of those insert foot into mouth type of situations.
Oops.
I love Ortega's this season. You know, I didn't like Ortega's season 1. I love Ortega season 2. They must have heard my feedback. Which my only feedback was I hate Ortega's. That was my only feedback.
I'm sure they specifically tailored Ortega's to you.
What a weird thing to say to me. But continue.
Through a mishap with food replicators, and Pike insisting, Ra makes his way to sickbay. Which Drew, I wanted to make a note. Were food replicators around back then? I can't remember.
Yeah.
They were? Okay. Were they in TOS?
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't stand out that much, apparently, for me.
I mean, it wasn't as, glamorous as it was on Next Generation, but they existed.
That's true. Both M'Benga and Chapel are in sickbay and are clearly distraught at seeing General Ra, or I'll just say Ra, because he's no longer General, he's Ambassador at this point.
Raw.
We take a jump back a few years to during the Klingon Federation War, and we're going to the moon Jagal, where Chapel is arriving for the first time and meets Commander Buck Martinez, aka Clint Howard, and M'Benga for the first time. Drew, I want to say, when I saw Clint, I was like just so fanboying out, pointing at my screen. All I can think of is that meme with Leonardo DiCaprio just pointing. That was me.
Yeah.
There it is.
Majeed,
that was pretty awesome.
Do you remember? Do you know who that was? That Clint Howard?
I know who Clint Howard is, and I remember he played that creepy kid back in TOS. But when he said his name was Bonk, all I thought was the kids that Drew hated. Bonk.
You mean Buck?
I was like, wait,
Buck, not Bonk.
don't curse. Don't curse at me. Buck.
Jeez.
Like Buck.
So the war appears to be at its highest.
Drew's so done.
And both Chapel and M'Benga are in full swing trying to save lives. And we additionally start to hear rumors of how bad General Ra is and how much atrocity he really has brought to the war on the moon. Back to the present time, we learn that Pike is hosting a dinner for the ambassador, and the higher-ups want things to go very friendly and warm. So they invite war veterans to the dinner. So, I mean, what could possibly go wrong with doing such something?
Well, it was a gesture. Like, he was trying to show that, hey, if the war veterans can, come to terms with a peaceful solution, then anybody can.
Yeah, I guess I get where they're going with it, but it's a in those situations, I think it's best to get those individuals who may have barely touched the war, so they're not that potentially impacted. But as you would imagine, tensions are high. Ortegas is debating on just bailing. M'Benga arrives just in time to kind of push her in through the door, and Nurse Chapel's off to the side, looking like she's already had a nice hard drink, but apparently needs double scotch as well because she's not really doing well. The topic of war inevitably gets brought up. Ra is asked if he really killed his own men. he kind of dodges the question. Ortega's eventually loses her cool with the ambassador and eventually just is dismissed. Chapel goes off, like trying to see if she's okay. And it looks like M'Benga is about to lose his crap. And Pike is like, hey, Doc, you should probably go part ways and check after Ortega's. However, Rod grabs him by the arm and is like, hey, how about we do a sparring match? I heard you're pretty good. He agrees. So back into the past, we start to uncover more and more backstory behind M'Benga, and we meet a commando from the Federation who's like going to go try and kill Ra. This commando, he wasn't Orion, Drew. What was he? Andorian?
Andorian, yeah.
Yeah, he was Hemmer's cousin.
Yep. Hemmer's cousin. Got it. So this Andorian commando was trying to get M'Benga to make him some sort of serum that apparently he's the only person who could create that basically increases the adrenaline and make you super sensitive to everything. It's what we saw in the first episode this season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Mango's like, no, I can't do it. Blah, blah, blah. That's not me. I'm here to heal people. That's my goal. Well, the commando is like, whatever, dude, I'll just go do this myself anyways. Ends up taking a bunch of guys to go kill Ra. We of course then hear the Federation team their plans to kill Ra don't really go so well. And pretty much all of them die for the most part. Back in the present, Ra spars with the good doctor. He tries to get the doctor to open up to him, but that obviously is not going very well. And Ra tries to convey that he is a changed man and that he's trying to atone for what he has done in his past. Back to the past. We learned that M'Benga essentially ends up killing a Starfleet member that is like stuck in a transporter buffer to save other people.
It was the one that Chapel had thrown in the buffer per his recommendation because his organs were like falling out of his chest cavity.
Yep. They didn't have a way to regenerate it, and so like the doc's like, hey, we got incoming people. They need our help. If we can't get to them, they're gonna die. So this guy's already gonna die if he doesn't get the thing, and we just can't wait. Right. So he makes the decision to just, I guess, essentially killing the guy.
Right.
We additionally start to see these children coming in that are casualties of war. We learn that the atrocities of Ra are just getting higher and higher, and that one of the biggest things that like the direction from him for his men was that kill anybody who is not a Klingon. So M'Benga kind of had enough and decides to go Rambo and kill the general himself, which we don't really actually go see or follow him, but it seems to have impacted him severely. Back to the present. The crew of the Enterprise aren't really doing well, and number one makes the suggestion to say, hey, let's take this more direct route to our thing to get this guy off of our ship. Pike agrees and takes the shortcut. Rod decides to go to the good doctor and M'Benga one last time to try to make amends, make peace between them, or I don't know, get him to accept him for who he is. That doesn't go as expected. The M'Benga's like, I need you to just leave. Get away from me. Don't do this. And this is where we learn what had really happened back on the moon is that M'Benga was actually the one who killed Ra's men. It wasn't Ra killing his own men in his attempt to escape, but he was escaping while his men were dying. And Ra was so ashamed of just his cowardice that he did not want to admit to it. And he betrayed his people because he didn't want to admit that he was a coward, which then earned him the butcher of, what was it again?
Jagal. Oh, so close.
Butcher of Jagal. And well, we now see that M'Benga has the dagger of the one that he had from years ago that had the blood of the 3 men that were under Ra's command. And we then kind of turn the camera away. Chapel enters in. It's a frosted screen. You could hear Ra and M'Benga kind of get into argument, and then there's a stab, and Ra's dead.
Pour one out for Ra.
Yeah. So this then kind of goes through like a really fast pace of Chapel giving off like the statement, Pike listening to M'Benga's side of the story, and they confirmed that the dagger was the dagger that killed the 3 men, and say that Ra came to kill M'Benga, and M'Benga ended up killing him in self-defense.
Convenient.
And this episode ends in such a way that it makes you question on how much one can do that can be forgiven. And how much, in a way, should we try to strive for peace and accept an individual for who they are?
Well, the vibe that I got from Ra was that he was basically just a chameleon trying to fit into whatever circumstance he was in the best he could, right? I don't know that he necessarily was truly changed. I think he was trying to give the perception that he was changed.
The doctor makes a line in this episode, and I can't remember exactly, but I think it's something along the lines of, if you start living the lie enough, it becomes the truth.
Yeah.
And so, to me, my question is that the case for Ra? I do agree, though, with you in the sense is that Ra didn't kill his men. So at this point, he's clearly just, where he had been for a period of time, just posing that he's a changed individual. But at what point is he really changed, or is he at this point just kind of that, wolf in sheep's clothing?
Right.
Yeah. The that speech, not the speech, his journal entry, his log entry, talks about fixing the machine and it could break again. And then, seeing that the machine on the surface is fixed, but you get that system failure. I think that was a bit of, subtlety and mirroring
metaphor.
Thank you. Yes, metaphor for what M'Benga is going through. On the surface, he looks fixed. He is fundamentally broken on the inside. And by the way, jacked. Man, he is cut up like a julienne salad. That man is shredded.
I bet you he can bench press 225.
Shut up. Stop. Don't you dare. I bet he could too, but you better stop it.
Hey, look, man. I'm
you
just
know,
saying.
you know damn well I could bench 225, buddy.
I just don't
respect.
understand. I just don't understand why you feel the need to plaster it all over my tweets.
How else do I get you to acknowledge me in the things that I do?
I don't know. I'm sure there's other ways.
All right, I'm gonna go to your house with 225 pounds. I'm gonna bench it while you're mowing the grass or something.
Okay. I think Babs is making a case for being the best actor on the show.
Oh, Mbenga?
Yeah.
I don't know his real name.
I can't pronounce his last name.
Okay. Yeah, no, sometimes it's better not to try. I get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna butcher it if I do, but
yeah, he's great. So during this Klingon war, was his daughter already in the buffer?
I think she was.
Okay. That would explain how he knew it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That was so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So how did you guys feel about like how this episode like played out? Like do you feel that it was a little disjointed at all with the back and forth between future and past?
I think it was bookended really nicely between the present scenes and the ones that happened in the past. It was really, really well bookended.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues with the way it was laid out either.
Yeah,
Everything seemed very clear to me when they were going back and forth between present day and the past.
Yeah, the elixir, the potion, the medicine that he developed, was it position 12?
Something like that.
I think something like that, yeah.
All right, well, that took a toll on his body, right? Because he's having he was grabbing his chest a lot, unless those are panic attacks.
I think those were
it was
panic attacks.
yeah.
Okay.
So what about the overall experience that Mbenga and Chapel had while they were on that planet and how they were handling themselves? Like, did that seem pretty accurate to you guys?
How so?
Like, no, do you feel like that was like a pretty good portrayal of like their anxiety for this man that they kind of loathed?
It definitely explained it.
Yeah.
It did a really good job of explaining why. This guy was only mentioned in name and, what was it? Transport incoming, right? That's all they kept hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing women, children just slaughtered at the hands of this tyrant, this war criminal. It's what's the word? Life-changing.
Right. I mean, I've never been in war, but I have to imagine it messes you up pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. War is hell, man.
Yeah.
Unless
And how
war
about-
is happening.
And how about
War.
the decision to have the ambassador even on board?
A weird one.
Yeah, what was that?
It was a little weird. I feel the I understand like the Enterprise is supposed to be like the flagship, the ship of peace, and it's not unprecedented for Star Trek to have like a party from a faction or race that they've been at war with on board to try to do some like peace talks. But I don't know, the whole thing just felt a little weird. Like where were they bringing him? Just to a starbase?
Yeah, it was like to a starbase.
To continue peace talks.
Mm.
So how about that ending though, with Mbenga and Ra?
We're probably never gonna touch upon it this season.
What do you mean?
We're never gonna. The season's almost over. That's one.
Yeah.
Right. And it took them 8 episodes to address the blue green elixir.
Right.
It took 8 episodes to dive into that. I don't think we're gonna get any type of follow up to how broken on the inside.
Yeah.
Well, no. I'm meaning more of how do you feel about Mbenga stabbing Ra? Was he justified in doing it? From unfortunately a obscure view, it doesn't appear that Ra attacked Mbenga.
It sounds like it was self-defense, and I think just kind of based on everything we learned in the episode, that framing of the scene it made us think about it. It makes us have these conversations. It's left for interpretation. And I love it. Fantastic choice.
I mean, this is like a cinema trick, you know, kind of like obscuring what really happened, so we don't really know what happened. But I mean, it seemed like it was implied that he at least put his hands on Mbenga. And whether or not that was in an aggressive manner, we'll never know. But you know, he was certainly trying to get him to see his point of view and his reason with forceful intent, it seemed.
But if you think about the ending part where the justification as to why they're saying, hey, it was self-defense. He was killed with the dagger that had his men's like their DNA on it. Mm-hmm. So it was proof that it was quote unquote his weapon. But it really wasn't. It was Mbenga's weapon.
Well, as the story goes, you know, Ra was the one that killed those other 3 Klingons because they were attacking him for betraying his people by, you know, calling off the attacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the gist. But the reality was Mbenga was the one that used that knife to kill all 3 of them. And he just never made it to Ra.
Yeah, because he, the 3 men that he was fighting, like they ended up slowing him down.
Right.
And to me, the way I took the ending is that Ra did not initiate any type of attack, and Mbenga just killed Ra straight up because of everything that he did.
Right.
As we can both, or all 3 of us can see, is a very different style of episode between the first and the second.
Huge difference.
Yedge.
I mean, if you had to pick one of the 2, do you guys have a preference? Like which one you like better?
Yeah, those old scientists, man. I don't need to cry myself to sleep every night.
That's fair.
The old those old scientists was a lot more relaxing, a lot more mellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was heavy. This one was real heavy. But you know what though? Like, to their credit, like, you know how Majeed, you had mentioned that you didn't put your phone down once during those old scientists. I did not as well, but I also, you didn't pick up your phone once, right?
I didn't pick up my phone once. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't for either episode for different reasons.
These were 2 very good, well-written episodes that really drew me in.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good stuff. Overwhelmingly, just wonderful Star Trek these past 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to be sad when this show eventually has to come to a close. Like, you know, it's inevitable.
Right.
I'm going to be very, very unhappy. That's what happens with live action TV, but at least with animated stuff, you know, it can go on for years.
And they can keep bringing it back.
Yeah.
Are you making fun of Futurama?
I still need to watch it.
Well, don't worry about that because Futurama makes that joke about 5 or 6 times in the course of their 22-minute episode.
I think my favorite was, I think, the season 4 of Family Guy. When they remember when they got canceled like several times and they finally got brought back. I remember the opening was like Peter just listing off every single
every show
that would need to get canceled in order for them to return to air. And it was just like this whole list of horrible Fox TV shows. Except for Firefly. Firefly was on that. I remember I was so upset about that.
Yeah, but you know, Joss Whedon now in 2020 is horrible.
Anything you want to talk about for this episode before we move on?
It is 2 hours past my bedtime.
So on that note, we will next be watching Subspace, Rhapsody, and Hegemon. Hegemon. I don't know.
Hegemony?
Hegemony? Hegemony.
I haven't seen the new episode listing. Yeah, so we got Subspace, Rhapsody. Yeah, Hegemony.
So I'm looking forward to doing the seeing how the last episode is as it will probably include the Gorn. I'm guessing, as in it would be very odd to have the Gorn in a musical.
No, it wouldn't. It'd be delightful.
That's one way to put it.
It would be delightful.
Well, listeners, we have taken up so much of your lovely time, and we thank you and appreciate you for tuning in. We will catch you again in 2 weeks' time. Take care now.
Later.
Bye. I can bet you 25. Drew can't. Bye.
Thanks for listening to yet another Star Trek podcast. We're a part of the Retro Sessions Network. This episode was recorded on July 29th, 2023, and is hosted by Brad, Drew, and Majeed. This episode was edited by Drew, not Brad. However, Brad did do half of a synopsis. The other half was totally winged, and I'm sure you could tell. Majeed takes care of our artwork as usual. Special thanks to William Grobel, our music, for our music Warp Speed into the Stars. You can find him on SoundCloud. We'll have links in the show notes. Also, special thanks to George Ratau for the additional artwork. He made us look like Lower Deck characters. Hit him up on Fiverr and you can too. We'll drop a link for him in the show notes as well. We'd love to hear from you. Hit us up on TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter. I mean, X. I think it's X today. Maybe it's Z. Could be Y yesterday. I don't know. At yet another ST pod, or shoot us an email. Yet another stpod@gmail.com. We've got a Discord room as well, so come chat with us and say hello. Next time, we'll be watching Subspace Rhapsody and Hegemony. Yeah, Hegemony. I got it right, for the love of God. Now, thanks for listening, folks. If you want to watch along, you can too by watching on Paramount Plus, and let us know what you think of the episode. Shoot us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts from. It's free and it really supports us. Thanks again, and take care.